Cuba had developed vaccine efficiencies, and I'm talking about efficiencies to deal with the variant, the earliest variant of the COVID-19 with the Omicron. But due to the United States embargo on Cuba, our country did not partner with them. And had we taken that important step, we might have been able to save 300,000 American lives. That's not even talking about the people in the world. Now, not only could Cuba's work that they did to find to deal with the Omicron virus, the Omicron work could have helped millions of people all across the world. Cuba's biotechnology is strong and its prices were affordable so that countries could afford it. Those types of countries who do not have the economic means to deal with big pharma. This headline right here, opinion piece that was written in the Washington Post, next pandemic, let Cuba vaccinate the world. Now, during the COVID-19 crisis, the United States had the opportunity to share its vaccine technology with the world, and its failure to do so prolonged the pandemic at home and abroad. You hear me underline it, bolded, underscored, message in a bottle on a plane and a train. In June of 2022, a senior Biden administration official admitted that the Omicron variant, which has been responsible for more than 300,000 deaths in the United States and more than 1.5 million globally, might never have emerged if the world had been sufficiently vaccinated in 2021. Totally agree with these authors, Mayor. Let's bring the mayor in. They hitting all the points. And I'm really proud that they wrote such an article, very pointed, and not being afraid to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yeah, listen, we can pretend in America all we want to about how bad it is to be in Cuba at this moment. What we do know, since 1973, Cuba and all of its citizens have enjoyed universal health care, something this country can't do. We do know that the 20+% of black people in Cuba aren't losing their arms and legs to diabetes. That's what we do know. We do know that Cuban doctors are the most, percentage-wise, they serve as the most visited, I should say, doctors in Doctors Without Borders, meaning Cuba gives more doctors per capita to Doctors Without Borders than anywhere else. We've not seen, and since this embargo, we've not seen any other benefits of Cuba's health crisis because America and its embargo is served by not letting us know. But Cuba does a great job of allowing black people from America and Jamaica to come get education there at a low cost because it costs so much to be educated and be a doctor in America. And those become some of the greatest doctors in this country. Cuba also is the country that developed cures for 4 cancers. 4 types of cancers were cured by Cuban doctors. And we are playing politics. Think this. Our problem with Cuba is because of Russia. They allow Russian missiles to be placed on their soil. We still do business with Russia. There's no embargo. There's an embargo now because of the Ukraine. Consider that. Why are we so upset with Cuba but not Russia? Got me thinking about racism all over again in a different geopolitical way.
That's it, man. Being a bully, and that's exactly what I was saying. Imagine living in a world where a geopolitical battle prevented world leaders from coming together to stop COVID. Imagine that, but we don't have to imagine it because it actually happened. And all for nonsense. Now, the authors of this piece, they went a little further. I want to quickly go through this. They said what is less known is that Cuba had the same opportunity to help vaccinate the world. The story of how Cuba was systemically blocked in its quest to make its own highly effective vaccines widely available offers crucial lessons. In other words, the United States working against Cuba and trying to save other people. And Mayor, I was just walking down the street just yesterday with a dear friend of mine, and we saw Doctors Without Borders out there on the streets trying to fundraise, doing the great work that they absolutely do. And then the most recent chapter of this story began in the summer of 2021. The Delta variant was ravaging India and making its way around the world. New vaccines offered hope, but the most under-resourced countries could not get them for love or money. That is it right there. While the United States and Europe donated doses, their efforts were hardly enough to solve the global problem. So again, because you got a grudge against Cuba, you are gonna let millions of people die. That's exactly what happened. And then lastly, crucially, these governments could not persuade the companies they had financed to share the technologies that could have enabled other countries to make vaccines on their own. In this grim landscape, it is astonishing to learn that Cuba had made 2 effective coronavirus vaccines from scratch, and then they vowed to share it with the world. Put up this headline real quick, team. I know we got to go to the next segment. Cuba pledges life-saving package of COVID-19 vaccine support to Global South at Progressive International briefing. I'm gonna tell you something. It is immoral as hell, and we gotta be educated about what's happening in the world and not always believe the hype. And even if 2 countries have a grudge against one another, when it comes to a worldwide global pandemic, you still gonna play games with people's lives? That is exactly what happened. And the United States of America was leading the band on this. It is, to quote the mayor, disgusting. Go ahead, Mayor.
Yeah, I just real quick. It's absolutely disgusting. Those are big numbers. 300,000 here and 1.5 million. It was unpatriotic for any president to refuse Cubans help. It was unpatriotic when George Bush did it for the black people in 2015 after the flood, when Cuba offered to send people over. It is just disgusting.
Yeah, no, it is, Mayor. And just for the life of me, I just don't get it. And like I said, the willingness. We're just gonna stay here. We got a few more minutes left in the show. They sacrificed lives over this, and it really does not make any sense to me. I liken this also to how are we gonna deal as a world with the climate crisis too? Are you gonna hold grudges against? I could visualize. This is what happened. World leaders need to come together. They come together to make war. Why can't they come together to make peace, to give people peace of mind, peace of heart, peace of spirit, lifting people, come together in that way, and really dealing with the first variant of the Omicron would have been a way to do that. And I think the second thing that we must tackle as a world is the climate chaos. But they did not care. This callous indifference, and we know on the continent of Africa, the suffering was immense.
Yeah, I think. I'm sad and sitting here think about how this country plays on and their influence to stop. If I was India, we talking about what's illegal during war. We should be talking about what's illegal during calm times, peaceful times, because this idea that this many people are dead, this many families are affected by loss of loved ones because of geopolitical politics. It's scary, and also this does not ring true for a country that calls itself the greatest country in the world. Not just because of the loss of American lives, but what it's doing to the businesses and the great minds in Cuba that had the sense to develop these 2 vaccines from scratch, not with free technology like these companies. Go ahead.
And we're willing, and Marin, we're willing to share it with the world.